Thank you, Professor Rector Ridwan Sanjaya, for your talk on modest augmented reality, and also for Dr. Benny for moderating this keynote talk. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you still stay there. Hang on with us because we are going to have the keynote session 3, the last one for this afternoon. And the title will be Preserving the Teacher Within in Virtual Learning Environment with Professor Budi Widianarko, Professor of Environmental Toxicology, Faculty of Agriculture Technology, SCU, and Dr. Benny still here with us to be the moderator. Dr. Benny, the time is yours.
Thank you, Pak Retang. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to be back, man, for a little while. Okay. For the next sessions, the keynote sessions, the third keynote sessions, I believe this is more should be perceived as an end note presentations. This is the up of the importance of the e-learning forum Asia today is since yesterday up to today. When we deal the use of technology, we deal with the innovations within the educations, but also not less important, the humanity. How can we still be human? How can we touch technology with our humanity? And Professor Budi Widianarko also, he used to be my boss. He used to be director of the Sugiyoparnarto Catholic University for 2 terms since 2009 up to 2013. And he will deliver his idea, his and also his impressions about whether we still have the teacher within us, even though we cannot meet face-to-face with our students. Professor Widianarko, are you here? The time is thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Stianto. Good afternoon to all of the colleagues and friends, and who choose teachers as a profession and believe teachers as a calling. Basically, what I'm going to share this afternoon is my personal reflection on the current rapid developments of teaching and learning. And I'm afraid actually that I might reiterate what have been said throughout the session from yesterday until today. And in the last part of my presentation, I would just like to offer a small reminder to us as teachers. So please allow me to share my slide. So can you see my slide already?
Yes, clear.
Okay.
Crystal
yeah,
clear.
Thank you. So basically, there are three points that I would like to share this afternoon. The first one is COVID-19 as the game changer. Second one is the future of Universitas Magistrorum et Scholarium. And the last one, as I mentioned earlier, I would like to share with you a small reminder to all teachers from Asia and beyond. So let's start with this. I just like to reiterate COVID-19 as the game changer. Yeah. So we found a virus that disrupted the world, and the disruption actually not only reaching out the business world or political world or health ecosystem, but unfortunately, this virus also disrupt our higher education system. Higher education institutions are now undergoing a radical transformation, driven by the need to digitalize education and training process in a record time. So in such a very short time, higher education institutions all around the world have to transform themselves to be able to adapt, to be able to catch up with the speed of the demand of digitalization. So in this case, Garcia Morales in his review article, they said that higher education institutions should be competitive and capable of providing high quality education in a scenario of digital transformation, disruptive technological innovation, and accelerated change. So the keyword here is technological innovation and acceleration. This is the keyword. So in other words, we are like in a fast moving train or railway right now. So we experience the so-called the sudden forced closure of face-to-face teaching, and it brings us to an unfamiliar terrain of e-learning, not only for the student or the faculty, but actually it's also an unfamiliar terrain also for the parents, for the family of the student, or family of the faculty, because they're witnessing kind of different attitude, different behavior, yeah, in dealing with their jobs, be it as a student or as a faculty. So all of us actually now entering the unfamiliar terrain of e-learning. And because of this new adventure, because of this new experience, we have to face the so-called emerging barriers and challenges. In the area of technical challenge, we face a digital divide. We face the problem of lack of IT infrastructure, demand of specific skill like online communication, computer literation, and skill, which is quite prevalent among the so-called let's say the baby boomers faculty probably. Yeah, they have to work very hard to adapt. On the pedagogical aspect, there is also a challenge. It's called readiness to apply different pedagogies. And at personal level, at the individual level, we face a problem of boredom, sense of isolation, lack of time to follow different subjects, lack of self-organizing, and so forth and so forth. So in short, the swift transformation to digital learning actually has brought us to various challenges and barriers that we need to deal with. But unfortunately, based on my review, based on my reading, the predominant discourse is still centered around the technology unpreparedness and adaptation. So most of the discussion on the challenge of virtual learning right now is on the technology, as well as on technology unpreparedness, and how we adapt to the challenge of technology. So to me, actually, there is an important issue which tends to be overlooked and demands a serious attention. That is the wholeness of teachers' presence. This is a challenge, and I would consider this as a wicked problem. And because it is a wicked problem, a problem which difficult to find the solution, usually as happened in many wicked problems like environmental problem, climate change, and other complicated problems, people tend to fall into the traps of the so-called technological fix. So we have to be able to make a clear distinction whether we go for technological fix approach or we find a true technological solution. So I'm very happy to hear my colleague, Professor Sanjaya, just now, that he proposed a technology with the intention to improve the engagement. I think that's really a nice approach to technology. So rather than producing different kind of technological, let's say, gimmick, we have to focus on simple, affordable, and doable, I think, technological product. So thank you, Professor Sanjaya, for that kind of approach. So now I'll leave now the problem of, let's say, digital disruption in higher education institution. But now I try to share with all of you about the future of the Universitas Magistrorum et Scholarium. My reference, of course, being a member of a Catholic university, is a document from the from the Pope, from Vatican. There's an apostolic constitution of Catholic University that mentioned in its introduction that by vocation, the Universitas Magistrorum et Scholarium is dedicated to research, to teaching, and to education of students who freely associate with their teachers in common love of knowledge. I'm really hooked up by this statement because there are at least two keywords which I love most. The first one is the free association between student and teachers. The second one is common love of knowledge. So the association between teachers and student is based on the commonality that is love of knowledge. So the question now, COVID-19 pandemic, which has swiftly accelerated the digital transformation of the teachers and student interaction. Can we still stick on the idea, on the notion of a university, Universitas Magistrorum et Scholarium, university which is the place or meeting place or place for interaction between teachers and students. So I then remember the interesting, but of course quite old books, has been now 20 years old books by Robert L. Fried on the passionate teacher. What is interesting with the idea of passionate teachers is that passionate teaching engages learners. A characteristic of passionate teachers is that they act as a partners in learning rather than experts in the field, inviting students to actively share with them in search for knowledge. I think this is really very close with the idea of Universitas Magistrorum et Scholarium presented in the Ex Cordia Ecclesiae, the Vatican document on Catholic University. A key to such engagement is the learning partnership that passionate teachers create with students. So again, if I may recall the presentation of Professor Sanjaya about the augmented reality technology, I will not have any problem with that as long as the technology, the augmented reality technology, is used to improve or at least to reduce the barrier of the interaction between, passionate teachers and the student. And tool for engagement, in addition to technology, in addition to various digital tools. I think there are tools which probably much cheaper, yeah, but you cannot find it in marketplace, of course, like sense of humor, creative, creative lesson, creative way in delivering the subject to the student, and the ability to treat each student as an individual. And of course, last but not least, is strong classroom presence. A strong classroom presence of the faculty is also something which is very important in forming the so-called engagement. And yet, the problem of teaching and learning is much more than just engagement. There are, let's say, for the engagement, there are three keys to success in teaching is engagement, enthusiasm, and organization. This is according to Ian Hay from Flinders University. This is very interesting. So Hayes wrote a letter to a new faculty members, new university faculty members, and he mentioned that engagement is about connection, communication, and commitment. After engagement, then you have enthusiasm. Again, Professor Sanjaya was right. Enthusiasm is important. Conveying passion for a subject and helping to ignite intellectual fires within the student. Enthusiasm is contagious. Professor Sanjaya again said that it is contagious. Enthusiastic staff encourage enthusiastic student. So, and of course, vice versa. And then the organization. It is important to be organized at a number of levels in classes, in day-to-day time management and personal life. Probably in terms of organization, visual learning proved to be better. But what happened with engagement and enthusiasm? This is a challenge for us. And if we go beyond these three key success factors in teaching, there are 10 qualities of good teachers proposed by Gannon in 2019. He mentioned that there are strong communicator is, of course, is important. Listen well, focus on collaboration, adaptable, engaging, strong classroom presence, show empathy, have passion, value real world learning, share best practices, and lifelong learning. So my appeal to all of the teachers in this room is how to make them take place in our virtual learning environment. Or if it is formulated differently, can we make them happen in the virtual learning environment? Or we should make them happen in our virtual learning environment if we formulate it more positively. So the presence of teachers as a whole person, in this case, represented by its scholarship, its pedagogy, and personality, is a crucial factor. And because of that, I remember the books of Palmer, who coined the term, the teachers within. So according to Palmer, the teacher within is not the voice of conscience, but of identity and integrity. The call to teach does not come from external encounter alone. No outward teachers or teaching will have much effect until my soul ascends. It's according to Palmer. Any authentic call ultimately comes from the voice of the teachers within, the voice that invites me to honor the nature of my true self. So it is about identity, about our identity. So again, the question now, the challenge now, how to keep or to preserve our teachers within in the virtual learning environment. So now I come to the epilogue of my short reflection. Safe with a full prospect of post-COVID continuance, because we still don't know when this pandemic will end. And on the other side of the picture, there is a plethora of technological tools and platform to support online learning. This is a reality that we face. We have problem of pandemic, but at the same time, it seemed to me we have the answer, technological response to the pandemic. But there are still many uncertainties about what the shift to virtual learning will bring for the future of higher education. But what is clear now is that universities should cleverly combine in-person and virtual learning to reap the full potential of these two interaction modes. So I'm not in the position to make a confrontation between these two, but instead we have to try to reap the full potential. What these two instruction modes can offer, we have to use them, to combine them, and we have to come to our student with these two with the combination, because otherwise time is too short to discuss whether online learning is not sufficient or the conventional learning is the best. But I think we have to be realistic in this case. We have to find the best combination of these two instruction modes. And finally, the teacher intrinsic quality, namely all traits that constitute a good teacher, need to be preserved in the virtual learning environment, because this is the essence of teaching and learning process. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope my reflection is kind of useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Widianarko. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we really have learned a lot from insight that has been presented by Professor Budi Widianarko. And now I still have 10 minutes to let everybody to ask a question, pop up a burning questions, hot and burning questions, in which if you don't ask it, then you will not go to sleep very well tonight. Please raise your hand or, type on your room chat. Any question? No, not yet. Still waiting. Professor Widianarko, you mentioned clearly that you're not in a position to choose or to put aside from the online learning or keep the online learning working, or the offline learning should be start immediately. How do you reconcile if there's the so-called the high flex learning that will combine the online and offline? What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's the reality that we should celebrate, rather than we are being reluctant to that. So I would consider as the generation of teachers, as a teacher of current generation, I feel fortunate that we are forced by nature to be highly adapted to a rapid change of technology, but at the same time, we should still equip ourselves with an awareness, with the consideration that we are still teachers anyway. That's why it doesn't matter whether you use a lot of technology, different kind of technology, or you just use a modest technology, as long as you can preserve your identity, as the teachers, because teachers is identity. Teacher is not only profession, this is our identity. So my challenge is just as a teacher, for example, I talk so enthusiastic in front of my laptop screen, but of course, I would really try to invite, my students that they are equally enthusiastic, and that's the challenge of the teachers of this generation. But I'm still consider ourselves as lucky, because otherwise we never experienced such a very interesting moment of transformation.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Professor General. There's one question in chat room from Bu Elizabeth Rukmini. I think it's from the Atmajaya.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
So there's a tendency for universities in Indonesia to set up the next year modes of learning. The trend are to going back to school and having back to traditional face-to-face meeting with the teachers as the center. The indication of this matter rise to the obligation to, what do you call it?
Sign up.
To sign up
To
for
sign
the
up for the
face-to-face meeting as part of the credit postman.
So it's like in the position.
Yeah, I think my
Can move
position. Yeah, my position will actually is quite clear that I would go for the so-called the new hybrid, the so-called. I do longing for face-to-face meeting right now, but I also do agree that technology can help us. So probably, if we can go for to be realistic, we can go for 70 to 30, 70 online virtuals, 30 in person. I will be quite happy with that. So 70 to 30 will be quite happy with that, because I can still try to presence needs. Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't get it.
the lead don't need to to be a I don't know whether Bu Elizabeth agree with this.
Yeah, she agree with you.
Okay.
She said in the chat room, yeah. Should
Yeah.
shout it loud. Agree with Professor
Yeah,
Budi.
sure.
Yeah, Professor Jana. Okay. Good. Any other burning questions? Yeah, Professor Budi.
But my 70, sorry,
Sorry?
Pak Benny, but sorry, but my 70 to 30, 70-30 ratio is not the, what do you call it? Is not the formal position of Sugio Pranoto Catholic University by, of course, this is my personal position, yeah, 70 to 30. So if they make it 50-50, that's even better. Yeah, even better. Okay.
Okay, good. You know, it happened once when I have to keep awake at 2 o'clock in the morning to give a lectures due to the distance of my positions, overseas, and my students in Indonesia at that time. And it's really hard, you know, to keep, you know, teachings at 2 o'clock in the morning. And when our student might not realize that I have to give a lecture in 2 o'clock in the morning. So let's say if, you know, I don't have what you call as the teacher within, I might give up. Where do I have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning? I just can easily reschedule. The student will of course follow me, because I'm the teacher, I'm the boss at the class. What do you comment about it?
Yeah, I think that's not the, what do you call it, kind of usual scenery of the virtual of the online learning. Like, it's only happened to